Sorry about the confusion here on the start of this. Hello, I'm Jerry Rosa. I'm here in the Rosa Stringworks Man Cave. I'll explain the confusion and why it didn't start on time here in just a moment. Let me catch my breath. I had it all ready to go. I've been sitting here just waiting on the time. Didn't have anything to do. I was just sitting here waiting, killing time, in fact. And when I click on go, it says, sorry, I can't connect to your server. Check your internet connection. And I'm thinking, well, I know the internet's working. I've been on it this morning. What's going on? Well, then I remembered the electric went off over the weekend because of the storms, and a tree fell across some of the big lines. Anyway, that changed my IP address on this. And I know some of you are going to say, set a static IP address. Well, I've set static IP addresses a dozen or more times over the years, and somehow or another they seem to keep getting changed. I don't know why, but they do. And this one got changed again, maybe because the power went off. I don't know why, but anyway, it got changed. So once I got the IP address straightened out on this computer this morning, actually it's in the software specifically where it's at, then it started working. So here we are. There you go. That's a long-winded explanation of something you didn't even care about. Let me get back to where I was going to start. Oh my gosh, it just never fails. Just when you think you got everything worked out, something has to throw a monkey wrench right in the middle of it. Well, it rained all weekend here. I didn't get to do much outside at all. But did you see that I got the products I use page rebuilt on my website? I was tickled to get that to work. I got to thinking about all the problems I've had with it over the years, and I thought, instead of doing it the way they tell you to do it, I'm going to just do my own version of it. And it took all day long to do it, but there's a lot of products there. That's the main reason that it took all day long. But anyway, I got it working, and I think it's working perfectly. Anyway, so I'm real proud of that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's on my website, www.rosastringworks.com. You go there, and then there's on the left and across the top, it says products I use. And you click on that, and then you can scroll down through all the different products. The ones, well, they're scattered throughout, but toward the bottom are all the luthier products. And you will find a few others scattered throughout the rest. And then there's other kinds of products that I use too. For instance, I just added the printer that I was talking about last week. I didn't plan to add that, but then I got to thinking, well, shoot, that's a product I use, and it's a really good product. So I put it on there. It's the only printer I would recommend that I know of. I've tried so many of them, and I love this printer compared to all the rest of them. So anyway, the only negative is I think there was only 2 in stock when I put it link out there. So, but I don't expect that to sell a bunch of them because they're expensive. Anyway, so check out the products I use page. I'm holding Leon's guitar. When Leon was here Thursday night, he brought this guitar to me and he says, "Can you fix this?" And I said, "Fix what?" And he said, "Right here." See, he dropped it. See, can you see the crack there? Well, he didn't drop it. It fell over against an amp or something like that and popped it right here. So I'm going to go on the inside there and see if I can see the damage. This one's got a pickup in it, and all the pickup stuff is up in that area. So I can't even see the area that's damaged, but I don't really think it's a big deal. If it wasn't fixed at all, it'd probably be just fine, but I am going to try to fix it, stabilize it, that whole bit. I got some Grandkid news I thought I'd tell you, what I'm real proud of. Mary, I told you she's been the the basketball star at her high school for the last several years, and she did get her scholarship to Sedalia College. It's only a 2-year college, but she is on the team, and it worked out really well for her, so I'm so proud of her, and I'm so happy that she'll be going there and playing basketball for Sedalia. Leighton, my little youngest grandson, he's he'll be going into third grade this year. He made 3 touchdowns this weekend in his football game, and one of them he caught in the end zone, which I thought was pretty cool too for a young kid like that. He is a football nut. Do you want to hear a little short song that I started writing about Trinian and Leighton? Trinian and Leighton are my 2 youngest grandkids, and they're brothers, of course. My daughter Rochelle is their mother. Let me pull up this song. I just started writing it, so I don't have this. This is not a finished song. I've only got actually just 2 verses, I guess you'd say, written here. So I don't have a chorus and I don't have an ending verse or anything. But I'll do what I can of it here. And it's a real fast song, so I'll see if I can get through it. And again, I've really not played this, so... There once was a boy named Trinian who liked to fish a lot. He'd hit the local fishing holes every chance he got. Catch, clean, and cook was the method he employed, and crappie was the species that filled his heart with joy. His little brother Leighton was a certified football nut, and though quite small in stature, he'd knock them on their butt. The fastest kid on 2 legs, you never saw the like. He could be in the end zone before the ball was hiked. Oh, that's just a proud grandpa writing there a little song to amuse his grandsons. That's really all that amounts to. That's never going to be played anywhere. Anyway, let's see. What else have I got here for you? Well, I tried to fly the drone over the weekend again, and I was going to take it up there and show you all the storm damage for the trees down and all that. And I tried for an hour to find the darn cord that would connect it up to my cell phone. And, the controls need to connect to the cell phone so that you can see what's going on the cell phone. And I couldn't find that cord. Well, after an hour or so, I finally found it. And then I realized that my cell phone was virtually dead. I'd forgot to charge it over the night. So I still haven't been able to make it up there to get that drone footage. But I plan to do that today, assuming it's not pouring down rain. And it could be, because it's rained pretty much all weekend. And it's still looking like rain out there right now. I don't check the weather, so I don't know what it's supposed to do, but I just go by what it looks like, and it looks like rain to me. Let's see. I watched a video this morning now this is one of these you gotta see videos. I'm seriously telling you, you gotta see this video. Do you like, or if you like instruments and like instrument repair and finishing instruments and all that kind of stuff, you gotta see this video. It's how shellac is made. I kind of knew something about it. I kind of had heard things that it was, got something to do with bugs, and I kind of thought it was their wings. Where I think I heard the wings thing was back when I was doing early research that somehow or another, bug wings was some kind of ingredient into like Stradivarius varnishes or something like that. Well, it may have not had anything to do with bug wings. It may have had to do with the shellac process. I am not kidding you. You have to watch this video. If you don't ever take any of my advice on anything else, watch this video. I have a link in the description. Be sure to watch it. Be sure to remember to go back and watch it. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I never would have dreamed it. And let me explain something else to you. You've been eating it. You just don't know it. When you look on ingredients, it says confectioner's glaze. You've been eating it. You need to watch this video for sure. You for sure need to watch it. Don't miss it. Anyway, The Six-String Heroes donation. I have the can't talk this morning. I have the final accounting information for you. We got some donations. The actual donations totaled up to $285. The guitar sold for $3,750. So that gave us a total of $4,035 to send to the Six-String Heroes. But unfortunately, PayPal took $143.67 of that amount. So I paid that back. So every dollar you donated will definitely go to the Six-String Heroes because I'm covering the PayPal charges. Plus, I added $65 of my own money in addition to the $143.67 that I'm covering as a donation as well. And so that will bring the total up to $4,100 even. And anyway, I will get that check in the mail today. I just wanted to let you know because I feel like you guys were involved and you need to know the full-blown accounting information on it, and that is the full-blown accounting information. I do have a short video for you this morning that I think you'll enjoy. I don't know, this one just made me happy. I don't know why. I just like this video. It's short and sweet. It's only 2 hours. I cannot talk today. It's 2 minutes and 30 seconds or so. Here we go. Well, my friends, I don't know if you can hear me over the rushing water, but it's bright and early Monday morning, and look at the water rushing down our flume. Isn't that beautiful? I am so glad I took the time to do all that. It's just wonderful. Now, it still needs some work. I haven't gotten back to working on these rocks yet and all of that, but I will get to it eventually. But look, you can see the flow of the water. It's really coming out big time. Looks pretty even across there. It's pretty much flowing across the whole thing. I really like it. And let's see how it's coming out over here. I bet it's really pouring out over here too. Yeah, it really is. You can see it's washing down into the pond. The pond is completely full. And the overflow way over there, I'm sure is working pretty hard. So let's go take a look at that too. And here's what the overflow coming out of the pond looks like. It looks like it matches where it's coming in. So it's about an equal in and equal out. You can see that this is flooded pretty well. It's gone out into the field pretty good. We've been getting a lot of rain here over the weekend. In fact, since about Friday, it's just been pretty much nonstop rain. I see the purple martins just flew off their house. It looked like there's at least a dozen, maybe 14 or more. I can't tell you how many for sure. Let's go over and take a look. The martins make a lot of noise. You can tell they're martins by their sound. Let's see if we can zoom in here. There's quite a few of them there you can see. I'm not going to walk over there because everything is so wet. As you can see, there's a bunch of them, and I think they're even moving into the new houses also, which is really nice. So I'm real happy with it. I think it's going to work out real good this year. One of the things we've noted over the last several years is that the horseflies are virtually non-existent until the purple martins leave. Within about a week after the purple martins leave, the horseflies get so bad we can't stand it. Yeah, I don't know why that one makes me happy, but that little video there makes me happy because I like my birds, I like my water flume, and I will soon like my water wheel. So anyway, everything's going pretty well on that whole end there. My plans for today, because it's going to be raining, so I'll probably work in the shop. And what I'm going to do in the shop is I'm going to build a grate or kind of a cage or something like that to stop rocks from going in another culvert pipe. If you remember, those of you who were paying attention, I put in a culvert pipe across between my shop and the greenhouse. I put a new culvert pipe in there because the old one was wore out and filled with rocks and everything, and I needed to move it anyway because I was going to put the shop in, or the shop extension in there. So anyway, that new culvert pipe is working fine, but there's lots of small gravel and rocks that are getting washed down the ditch and going into that pipe, and they're trying to clog this new pipe up. So I'm going to build some sort of a metal grate, and it's going to be kind of a two-phase deal. I'm going to have one, it's going to be at a 90 degrees. This one's going to be like the pipe's going that way, so this one will be in front of the pipe, and then this one's going to be on the ditch. So in other words, the water's coming down the ditch, then it turns 90 and goes into the pipe. So I'm going to have a grate here to catch the big rocks and stuff to keep it from going down into this little pit area, and then I'm going to have a grate this way, which is going to be even finer to keep the small gravel and stuff from going in the pipe. Anyway, it's a process, just like everything is around here. Nothing's ever simple. So, I mean, I could probably just make one grate and put it straight over the front of the pipe, and I might still do that, but I think it would be better, and I think I'd be better served if I put a large rock catcher at the begin right there on the 90, and then make the smaller gravel and stuff actually right over the pipe. That's what I think. Anyway, we'll find all that out. But that's probably what I'm going to do today, in addition to hopefully fly the drone today. Let's go to the comments. Chuck Heidbrunner was number one this morning. Carolyn Fike is there. John Pepper and Walt Willard. And let's see. David Tharp says, what happens if you get scared half to death twice? That's funny. Hey, David, you are messed up, man. You are messed up. In a good way. That is funny. Let's see. I don't know. I like just dry, silly humor like that. I just think that's so funny. Dottie Hildebrandt, was you at the concert, Carol? Oh, she's talking to Carolyn. Okay, let's see. Moving on down. I don't see any question marks. You guys are just having too much fun in here talking to each other. Maybe I should just not ever get on here anymore. That's probably the best for everybody. You guys have a lot of things going on before we go live. Carolyn said, I see Carolyn Fike. I just emailed Jerry and asked him to forward it to you so we can connect. Okay. Maybe that's like an email address or something. I don't know. But anyway, I'll look at that. I'll look for those emails today here and see what's going on with that. Moving on down a little bit more. It looks like nothing there until we go live. And after we went live, Charlie Rostern was the first one, Blackjack Guitar, and Zappa's there, and Bill Mumbo. And then let's see, we've got Bill Webb says, yes, it's great to see the products page is back. Well, good. I'm going to work on that products page some more and try to, because it's so long and draw it out, I'm going to try to maybe on page 1, I'll just have 3 links. And one of them will say luthier tools. I don't know, maybe other one will be other shop tools or something like that. And then maybe one personal items or something. I don't know. I'll make up a couple of categories, and that way you can go to the specific category is what I was thinking. Or I could leave it all on one page. If you have a comment about that one way or the other, just be sure to put that in the comments here. Dottie Hildebrandt, that's a catchy tune. Finish it. Yeah, it's just something silly for the boys. And, of course, Zappa has to correct me here and say it's offsides. Yeah, I know that, Zappa. That's what you call poetic license. John Warren, congrats to Mary. Well, thank you. Yeah, she's Yeah, she's pretty happy about it, and you know, it's a 2-year type college, but hey, out in this kind of the neck of the woods to get to go to college at all, and especially on any kind of scholarship, you're doing something right. So it's wonderful if you ask me. And Dottie says, congrats. Well, thanks. Gary Hayden, nice flume. Yeah. Yeah, I'm real happy with the way that turned out. There's, there was a little bit of a push over to the right down at the very bottom, and that's almost intentional. That helps line up what's coming down the hill with the pipe better. And then it'll be coming from the other side there a little bit too, so I've got to fix all that. So I still have a little bit of work to do there, but it's not too much, and it'll all work out just fine. Bill says I should put another another water wheel at the overflow on the backside there. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I mean, it might happen sometime, but probably not right away. But anyway, that's a possibility. Bill Rhodes, hey, why don't you dig a clean out? Dig a clean out. What you mean on my culvert pipe? I definitely am going to be doing something like that. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's a long culvert pipe, and I don't know how any kind of a clean out thing would necessarily work. But I do know I got to stop the rocks from going in there, so I know that. And Dan Druff says, have you discovered symmetrical music yet? SOL ascending mirrors La descending. LA descending. I have no idea about anything like that. Nothing at all. I don't know SOL from LA and any of that stuff. I know, I don't mean to sound like I'm trying to be belligerent or against it. That's not it at all. I'm not against that stuff. But I just want to be very clear. You are looking at the guy who knows the least, and I mean the least, about formal music of anybody you've ever met. I wouldn't know an eighth note from a treble clef, but really, I mean, I know what a clef looks like because I've seen those, but that's about it. What those lines mean and all that, I know one of them's like FACE. I think that's the spaces or something. And the other one is every good boy does fine or something like that. I don't know. I don't know anything about that stuff. And I don't know what it's used for. I don't know how to use it. So when it comes to formal music, I know nothing. Zero, nothing, not any. And that's the truth. I'm not necessarily proud of that. I think it's wonderful if you do know all that stuff. But I don't know any of it. So there you go. And I'm an old dog, and it's a little late to train me on a new trick. So there you go. James Kopp says, how can we include a picture with our chat? Well, maybe somebody else in the chat would know that, but I sure don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you can do that or not. It would be cool if you could. I mean, you can add those little emoji things. You'd think you could. Seems logical to me. See, the Freeze says, hello, how are you liking all the weather I've sent you? Well, I'm liking it pretty well. I'm really happy about the rain. It's 4 or 5 days in a row now. That's starting to get a little long. We could maybe let up for a few days and then come back again would be just fine. Dottie Hildebrandt, Jerry, we chat before you showed up. I think there are some great friends here. Yep, I agree with that. So no, I'm only teasing about that. I'm not picking on anybody. I think it's wonderful that you guys are all talking before we go live. 154 viewers at the moment. Jelvis Skid Marks Band. I see the deer behind you. Were those taken on your property? Bow, shotgun, rifle? There's a combination. There's bow. It's backwards. That one's a bow. Those two on the back wall were rifle. I think they were both 243. They're all around the room here, and they're outside in the other room. There's like 15 or so of them on the wall. Several were with a bow, and several were with a 243. One or two were with a muzzle loader. I don't know, and maybe a 308 thrown in there to boot. So let's see, and a 30-30. Now to think about it, too. So there a several with rifles and several with bows, and one or at least one with a muzzle loader. Let's see. Moving on down. Zappa. I know, SOL, but it has nothing to do with music. Okay. I don't know. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Let's see. The freeze. How about piling 2-inch rock in front of the pipe to use as a filter for the small pebbles? Yeah, that's not a bad idea, maybe. Now that you say that. The only thing I'm thinking of is cleaning it out, because there's lots of leaves that come down too, and there's a lot of junk. I'm amazed how much junk comes down that ditch. It's just amazing how much stuff comes down that ditch. So I just need to figure out a way to keep it from getting in the pipe. That's the main thing. And I need to be able to shovel it out. Trust me, it's more than you would ever think. It's way more than you would ever think. It took me, I don't know, a good hour to clean it out the last time, and I just looked at it briefly yesterday, and it's back in there again, and I dug a deep hole so the stuff could fall down in the deep hole before it raises up, before the water level raises up and goes through the pipe, and it's filled that deep hole up already. I mean, it's amazing how much stuff. So I've got to find some way to keep it from going in there. It ain't no simple task. It's never simple. If it's simple, trust me, I've already got it figured out. Simple is easy. There's never anything easy when it involves me. It's always the most complicated thing you can possibly imagine. And I'm not kidding. It's always that way. It's just like that's just the way it always works out. I don't know. Maybe it's because I take on such weird projects. I don't know why. Dan Druff, are you a mason? Well, you mean mason like as in Masonic temple type mason, or do you mean mason as in laying rock? I don't know. Maybe those are supposed to be the same. I don't know. But anyway, I can do a little bit of masonry work, if that's what you're asking. I'm no expert. But I can definitely do mason work. As you could see there on that water flume, I pretty much rebuilt that whole thing. That thing was a disaster, man. It was in shambles. That was a big project just by itself. A lot of people would think that was just a huge accomplishment, and that was just about this big on this whole water wheel project. It really wasn't that significant compared to all the other stuff I had to do for this water wheel project. Let's see. Ben Boyd, if you have a buzz on just one string, the G string, can it be fixed without a new nut or bridge? Oh, yeah, for sure. Very often, if you only have a buzz on one string, I would say, generally speaking, now this is not 100% true. Generally speaking, it's just a fret problem. Here's the other two problems or possibilities that it could be. If it's not a fret problem, in which I bet it is, because that's going to be 85% of the time it's going to be a fret problem, maybe 90% of the time. The other 10 or 15% is going to be either it's in your nut itself, and that, again, this is the, don't have any good visual aids here. We'll call this your nut. Your string comes across your nut this way. The angle that that angle that slot is filed has to be at the angle that it points to your peg. In other words, if you file it flat like this, if that slot is filed flat, then it can buzz on the inside edge of the nut. In other words, your frets are here. This is where your frets are. Your peg head is over there. So if it's filed flat, that string can buzz in that nut like this. And so there's one place it can buzz. The exact same problem on the saddle. Now, the saddles are really thin, and you would think, well, how's it going to buzz on that saddle? But trust me, it can buzz on the saddle. If the saddle is filed flat or even slightly forward, the saddle can. So the saddle needs to be filed back toward the string holes or the pin holes or whatever you want to call it. The saddle has to have a slight angle back toward that, and the nut has to have a slight angle down toward the pegs, and it has to be absolutely consistent. If it's got any humps in it or anything, it will cause a buzz, or it can cause a buzz. I'm not saying every time, but it can cause a buzz. So that's why I say 85-90% of the time it's going to be a fret. The other percentage, it's going to be that, one of those two things. How do you test that? Well, if you note your string and the buzz goes away, then it could very well be at your nut. Again, if you note it somewhere in the middle, and now it's when you hear the buzz, well, then it's very likely on a fret. If you hit it open and you're hearing a buzz, very likely it's in either the nut or the saddle. It still could be a fret if you really have super low action. So if you got really super low action and you're playing open strings and you're getting buzzes, then it'll either be at your first fret probably, and your nut is just cut too low. I mean, there's no one answer on anything like that. So I hope you can see that it is a complex problem, but it's also very solvable. There's a solution, in other words. Moving on down, Bill Webb says, what type of glue would you recommend for gluing a 5th string tuning machine in a banjo neck? Trying to remember what I used for that, because I did use something fairly specific. Well, I don't know for sure on that one. I can't think of any particular glue that I used for sure on that. Want to say maybe it was CA glue, but it could have been the Superfatic. I'm trying to remember now. I think the Superfatic would work pretty well on that. CA glue would work pretty well on that too. The thing about the CA glue, the negative on the CA glue is you might have to do it twice or 3 times. But each time you do it with the CA glue, it'll get stronger. That's because the CA glue will fill the pores in the end grain of that wood, because when you drill that hole sideways through that neck, you've got end grain on both sides. And the CA glue will fill that end grain. And once it gets filled and gets a solid thing, and then you glue your thing in there, the CA glue will hold really well. I think the Superfatic though could make it happen in one attempt. I don't think you'd have to do it twice. And believe it or not, Tight Bond would actually work for that too, and I probably have used Tight Bond for that too. But anyway, one of those options. John Warren, Jerry, can you explain what buzz is? Sometimes I think picking up buzz. Well, there are different sounds for sure. There's a very clear buzz often, and I say often because it's not 100% on anything. There's never 100% when you talk about this stuff. But most often, you'll hear a very clear buzz when it's a fret problem. And it just sounds like metallic buzz when you're playing the note. You should hear you should just hear a clear ting like that. It should just be a ting like that when you hit the string, a note. But if you're hearing a ting, you kind of hear a little buzz after it, then generally that's a fret problem. When you hit it open and you're hearing some extra something that shouldn't be there. It should just be a clear ting, just a nice clear note, and you're hearing some other little bit of a fuzzy sound, just a little. It can be the most faint thing, and sometimes you may not be able to even hear it, depending on how good your hearing is. But I can generally hear anything like that, and when you hit an open string especially, you'll hear. That's when if you're hearing anything in addition to the note when you're hitting an open string, then almost always it's in the nut or the saddle. I don't know. Now, there's other kinds of buzzes too, by the way. And there's 4 or 5 other kinds that have nothing to do really even with the string. There's what you call sympathetic buzzes. One of them is the tuning keys can buzz, rattle. If they're not tight, like say the buttons aren't tight, I'm calling them buttons because I can't think of anything else to call them. The turning knobs, if those aren't tight, that can buzz or rattle. The little nuts that tighten down on top sometimes could be loose. That can rattle. There's any metal object on your instrument can rattle sympathetically to the note you're playing. Your tailpiece can rattle. There's all kinds of rattles. The other thing this is one that doesn't happen very often, but I've heard it, I don't know, probably close to a dozen times over the 40 years, and that is the actual serving on the string, like on your G, like on your big E string or your A or your D, the serving that's wrapped around the core can actually buzz. It doesn't happen very often, but it can. The way you can kind of tell if that's your problem is you take your fingers and slide it one way, kind of like slide it on that string one direction, like you're pulling the serving one way, and then hit it and see if you still hear it. Pull it the other way, hit it, and see if you still hear it. If it goes away when you do it one way or the other, there's your problem, But that can buzz too. So there's a myriad of things that can buzz. That's the best explanation I got for you. I hope that helps. Bill Webb, the nut slot could be too deep. Yeah, that's what I was saying. If you're hearing a buzz when you hit it on an open and it's a pretty clear buzz, it's probably your first fret more than likely. But it could be at the 12th fret at that hump. Some people get their actions so darn low, and if you take a guitar, don't touch the strings at all. Just take a pick and hit one string, and then look how big it vibrates. I mean, it's a big vibration. You'll notice that it's like this. Well, you get your action down really, really low. What's it going to do? It's going to hit something. It's going to vibrate. So, you can only go so low. I don't care what anybody tells you. You can only go so low. Now, if you pick really super soft, well, then you can go a lot lower, But if you're really getting on it, you can't go all that low. Bill Webb, I have tight bond canopy glue and CA glue. Canopy glue would work real good for that. I think canopy glue would work very well for that. Tight bond would work and CA glue will work, but you'll have to do it. The CA glue, you might have to do it multiple times. I'm not saying you will for sure. I'm just saying you might have to do it multiple times. But each time with the CA glue, it'll get better. The CA glue sticks to itself better than it sticks to anything else. And once it gets coated on everything else, then the CA glue will stick it for sure. There's no doubt about that. It'll work. So either way, I mean, it just depends on how you want to handle it. But I think the canopy glue would work just fine too. And I think maybe I've even used that for that. Pretty sure I have, actually. Thomas Armstrong, good morning. Are the extras that come with the MindLab Manicore bundle worth the extra dollars, or is it better to just get the detector itself? Well, the detector itself comes with your headphones And that's about it, I guess. I'm trying to think of, is there anything else in the box with mine? Most generally, the extras, and I can't say because I haven't actually bought it with all the extras. Most generally, those are thrown in to make you think you're getting a great deal, and they're not always all that great. So that's up to you, I guess. But the Manicore itself is a good machine. I'm real happy that I've got mine, and I'm still learning it. I only got to take it out a few minutes here and there over the weekend because it was raining like crazy. But I'm pretty sure it's going to help me narrow down, especially when there's such a trashy area like I have. You can kind of tell, is this trash or is this at least non-iron, And and even that's not going to be 100%. There's no detector that's 100%. But I wish I could tell you on that. But I would say you'd probably be better off just buying the detector. And when and it's the Rosa thing every time. It never fails. I thought I got the best deal I'll ever get on that thing when I paid $1,400 for it. Well, guess what? The day I received it, I saw a video saying MineLab just dropped their price on the Manicore, and it's actually cheaper than I got it for. So now you can find them for like $1,100 or $1,200, something like that. It never fails. It's just the way it works with me, and I pretty much knew that was going to happen, and it happened. Let's see. Ben Boyd just ran a flat edge down the neck. The 8th fret was slightly high toward the high E string. Tapped it down gently, and the buzz is gone. Thanks. Yeah, it's almost always a fret. 80-90% of the time, it's going to be a fret. Chipwood, driving to St. Louis today. I'll give a honk as I pass by Newburgh. Well, cool. We'll stop in if you want to, Chip. Let's see. Zappa, CA glue is good for slotted peg heads to create bearing surfaces inside the tuner holes. I hadn't thought of that use, but that would work really well for something like that. Yeah, the CA glue is a really good glue. A lot of people will discount it, but it's really good for stuff like that. It's the best, like I've ran it on pore fillers a bunch. I don't like them. I don't like any of them. And CA glue is the best pore filler I know of. And I didn't like it because of the smell, but now that they've got the odorless CA glue, which is on my Products I Use page, it's the best pore filler I think you can get. Now, I noticed Caleb put a video out, and he's building a guitar with Paduke. It looks just like a guitar I built. It looks exactly. I put a comment on his video, and I said, man, this looks really familiar to me. And it does. It looks just like a guitar that I would build. But anyway, he's using I think it's Aqua Coat or something like that as a pore filler. Well, when I put that on my Paduke, I absolutely hated what it did to the color. I was so mad. I put that on there and it instantly changed the color of the Paduke to a totally different color. And I like the Paduke natural. I like the way it looks. Now, I couldn't tell on his video how much it changed it, but it did look like it changed it on his video also. But that's the reason I didn't use the Aqua Coat. It wasn't so much that I didn't even give it much of a chance. It made me mad because it changed the color of the wood so much. That's why I didn't use that one, in case you're wondering. And I mean, it really burned my britches whenever that thing. I put that on there, and it went from like this dark color to like a pumpkin orange. I mean, it went that different. It made me mad. I thought, good grief, it was just horrible. And anyway, so that was one of those deals. The freeze, I have found that with bridge buzz, I push the last fret and pluck it, and I can still hear the buzz. I have found that with a bridge buzz, I push the last fret and pluck it, and I can still hear the buzz. Okay, well, if you're still hearing a buzz, like if you're at the very last fret and you're hearing a buzz, then it's one of two or three things. It's either on the saddle still. It's possible still on the saddle. Not as likely, because once you get it that short, it generally won't buzz on the saddle. So it's not as likely that it's a buzz on the saddle. More than likely in this case, you've got a sympathetic buzz going on. It could even be your pick guard. It can be something on the inside of the guitar. It could be a loose brace. It could be your tailpiece. Or it can still even be up at your tuning keys, believe it or not. So you probably have a sympathetic buzz is what I'm guessing. It's either sympathetic or it's on your saddle, almost for sure. Nothing's 100%, but it's almost 100% that it's one of those two things. So it's the best I got for you. Yeah, and I'm going to put them. By the way, Thomas, if you're going to buy it right away, let me put it on my website and buy it off my website if you don't care, because it won't cost you anymore, and it'll give me a little bit of a kickback. So I was planning to put the MindLab Manicore on there today, is what I was planning to do. I actually was, believe it or not, planning to do that, not just because you said that. Steve Caulfield, try a heavier string. Yeah, you can do that too. I wouldn't necessarily go much heavier. Generally, if you got a buzz, it's not due to your strings so much. It's generally, there's a reason for it. And you can fix it. I mean, you can fix it. You just got to know what you're looking for. You got to isolate the buzz and figure out what the problem is, and then you can fix it. Once you know what the problem is, they're fixable. Every one of those buzz problems are fixable. And it's not that hard after you identify it. The hard part is identifying where the buzz is coming from. That's the hard part. Like I told you, that doctor, Spadero, he brought me his classical guitar, and man, I couldn't hear a buzz on that guitar anywhere. I'd pick it up and I played it, and I still didn't hear a buzz. But he could hear this buzz. It was driving him crazy. And finally, I walked around the end of his guitar while he struck. That was just coincidental. I didn't do it on purpose. I walked past him as he was strumming it, and out of my right ear, I heard the buzz, and the buzz was in his peg head. And as soon as, it was a very faint buzz. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it was very minor, but I heard it, and there I knew how to fix it then. So that's the thing, is isolating it, finding the buzz, then you can fix it. Let's see here. Theron Corbett, Jerry, can you build several rock weirs above your culvert pipe to slow the water flow down? That's a possibility. That's a possibility. The only thing that I'm hesitating on any of those ideas, and they're not bad ideas. I'm not saying that. It's just that I'm thinking about the future clean out. I've got to have a way to clean it out and get rid of it. And I don't know, because it's going to build up. Trust me, it won't take long to build it up either, based on what I've seen. It's not going to take long to overflow. Whatever you put there, it's going to fill up and flow it out. So, but that's not a bad idea. I like the rock idea because it looks good, and it would be cool to put some rock in there. And I'll think about that, and I might incorporate that in with what I'm doing, because definitely I've got to stop it from going in the pipe. It's got to be stopped. And because it's not going to, it won't last if I don't get it stopped. Leo Vanderwall, is the pipe feeding the water wheel laying horizontal, or is it at an angle? What height difference between if you're talking about the pipe that I showed in the video this morning, that pipe is dang near flat. It's only got about a 3-inch drop and 20 some feet. So it's as flat as I can lay it. The bigger the pipe, the flatter you can lay it, and it's pretty flat. So there's not much fall there. And for those of you who don't understand the dynamics there, if you keep your pipe flat, the water will push the heavies through the pipe. If you have a fall in your pipe, the water will run around the heavies and leave the heavies behind, and the water passes it up. So if you have too much fall, it's not a good thing. You want just the right amount of fall. On a smaller pipe, you need a little bit more fall, like maybe a 1/4 inch per foot on, say, a 4-inch pipe or something like that. Generally, I use about an 1/8 inch per foot fall as my general idea on the fall for most of my, especially my larger pipes. Let's see. I'm not sure if I read these or not here. Leo says, is the pipe feeding the water wheel laying horizontally, or is it under an angle? If so, what is the height difference? Oh, okay. I think that's the one I just read. But anyway, it's just got a very small fall. Walt Willard, my string buzz is usually in my hearing aids. That can be a factor for sure. That is a black and 100% white factor. I've told this a time or two before, and I felt so bad for this guy. He brought me 2 mandolins a long time ago, him and his friend. They came from the East Coast. I mean, they came a long way, and they brought me mandolins, and I set them both up, and I really took extra time to make sure they were perfect before they left, because they came a long way. Well, he calls me back up, and he's complaining about this mandolin, that it's buzzing like crazy, and I'm thinking, I don't see how. I mean, I just didn't see how it could be, because I really took a lot of time with it. Well, he says, I'm going to bring it back. And I said, oh, man, I hate for you to drive all that way. You could ship it. I don't like to ship it. Oh, okay, fine. So he drove back down a couple of weeks later, and Caleb was there when this happened. And he's complaining about the buzz. And I'm listening to it, and I'm going, boy, I don't hear no buzz. And I really didn't. I didn't hear any buzz at all. Zero, none, not any. And I tried everything I could do, and I said, man, sir, I'm sorry, I don't hear a buzz at all. You don't hear that buzz? You can't hear that? He was kind of mad. He was aggravated. And I said, Caleb, you take it. You got young ears. Listen to this. Do you hear a buzz? Caleb was going, no, I don't hear any buzzes at all. Turned out it was in his hearing aid. He had the sound was so much louder. After I got it all set up with the antler saddle and the right strings and everything, and got it set up perfectly, it was punching so much harder that it was overdriving his hearing aid, and it was causing the buzz. And every time he hit it, he would hear a buzz. And he thought it was the mandolin, and it was his hearing aid. And that was not fun. I had to explain that to him. I said, I'm pretty sure it's overdriving your hearing aid. So he turned his hearing aid down. He was upset, to say the least, that he drove that far. But, what do I do? How do I handle that? I felt sorry for the guy, but it was in his hearing aid. So it's a real, truthful thing that can happen. Ben Boyd, Zappis says, try CA glue. I'm not sure what that's for. Maybe that's to hold that fret down that was loose. Yeah, and I was going to suggest that. I'm glad he said that anytime you have a loose fret, like if you can go down your fretboard and push on the ends of your frets, and sometimes you'll see them move. And if that's the case, hold it down like with the blade of a screwdriver. Just hold that fret down, put your CA glue around it, wait for the CA glue to firm up. If you wait about 10 seconds, you can spray the CA glue with accelerator, and it won't turn white if you do that. And anyway, that way you don't have to sit there and hold it for 15 minutes, But anyway, that's a good thing to do, is to glue your into your frets down. Now, having said that, be super, super, super careful, because that CA glue will run right down and run right underneath the bottom of your neck and make a big mess. I mean, it can do it in a heartbeat. So be very careful if you do that. But you can use CA glue to glue the frets down. Anyway, moving on. Let's see. What else have we got here? The freeze. Plumber code is 1/4 inch per foot because too much fall will pass the liquids. Yes. 1/4 inch per foot is kind of the standard, but most plumbers will tell you that if you, if you have a larger pipe, then, you can go less than 1/4 inch. An 1/8 inch is not a bad thing on a bigger pipe. Like a covert pipe, it's really good to use about an 1/8 inch per foot. A 4-inch pipe, 1/4 inch per foot is kind of the standard, but I typically use the 1/8 inch per foot, and I've never had a problem. And it's really a good thing because that'll keep the solids floating and they'll move down the pipe. If you have a steeper fall than 1/4 inch per foot, then the water runs off, leaves the solids behind. The freeze says, my dad was a plumber. Yep. Yeah, in vertical or 45 is fine. You can have a 45 and that'll be fine, or you can have a vertical and that's fine. But on a flat pipe, you don't want it any more than 1/4 inch per foot. If you make it more than 1/4 inch per foot, you're in trouble. Bill Webb, I have become a huge fan of the CA glue accelerator. Yeah, the CA glue accelerator works fine. There's people that'll badmouth it and say it's not as good, or it's not, it doesn't, it leaves that white residue and all that. But if you put on your CA glue, give it about 10 or 15 seconds, just wait about that long, and then spritz it very lightly with the accelerator. It'll set that CA glue up right away and it won't turn white. Oh, Walt Willard, Zappa was talking about my hearing aids. Oh, you CA glue for that. Well, that could have a little dire consequence. It might have a result there that you weren't expecting. Zappa says, yep, that's what I was talking about. Well, I'm not going to recommend that. You can do that one if you choose. Guys, that's going to be it for today. Thanks for being here. 158 viewers at the moment. And we will see you tomorrow with something else. Hopefully, we'll have some of that drone footage. But boy, the way it looks out there right now, that may not happen because it looks really dark out there right now. And it may be raining right now. But in any regard, I'm going to go into the shop and I'm going to build this grate for blocking off that pipe so nothing can get down that pipe. I am tired of dealing with the stuff that's getting in that pipe. What I think I'm going to do is make a metal grate with vertical pieces of metal, and then behind that I'm going to put like 1/2 inch hardware cloth or 1/4 inch, something like that, behind that to keep things from even going between the vertical rods. And then I may employ also some of those other ideas you guys are talking about with the rock. That sounds pretty cool, but I'm a little bit hesitant of that, just knowing how much stuff's coming down that ditch. I mean, I'm pretty floored how much is coming down the ditch. It kind of blows me away. So anything I do with rock, I'm pretty sure it's going to get overwhelmed and covered up very quickly. And of course, this grate is going to get covered up very quickly also, but at least I can shovel that out and open it back up. I'm going to leave it there. We'll see you tomorrow with something else. Thank you for being here.